Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. George calling with Scratch Golf Tips. Today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the bump and run shot, how to play it, when to play it, and why to play it. So to start off, the club selection is pretty important here. You can do anything from a pitching wedge down to a 7-iron. You could even do something higher than a pitching wedge, maybe a 52, as long as the fundamentals stay the same. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to be doing a 9-iron, and let me show you the fundamentals behind hitting the bump and run. So let's start off with ball position, which is always important in chipping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this ball right around the center of my back foot. So obviously there's a little bit of area to play with here. You can have it a little bit behind the back foot, maybe inside the back heel. For me personally, I like to play right around the middle toe of the back foot, play it right back there. I take my stance a little bit open to my target line. That's my feet being open to the target line. I do not keep the face open or closed. I keep the face neutral to the target line. So your feet in relation to your club face are going to be just a little bit open on this shot. Now, a big misconception that we see sometimes with the bump and run is if you have a 9-iron in your hands, you don't really want to have this shaft too forward, because if I already have the ball off my back foot, I have a club that's, obviously not too lofted in a 9-iron. If I have a forward press with this and I hit the ball, you didn't see it, but that ball probably went 6 inches off the ground and flew over the green. So you don't want the forward press. It's going to be a fairly standard chipping motion, just rocking the shoulders a little bit. It's not dissimilar to a putting motion. You don't want the forward press. Keep the shaft orientation fairly neutral. And just a nice simple stroke there. Now, as opposed to 6 inches, that was about 2 feet from the lifted 2 feet off the ground, and it's a much more manageable shot to work on. Now we're going to want our weight pretty heavily on this front foot. So obviously, like you saw in that last shot, the weight won't be completely on the front foot so that you're off balance, but make sure it's on the front foot enough so that with this open stance and neutral shaft orientation, you can have a nice controlled swing through the ball and just bruise a little bit of the ground after impact. What we don't want to be is scooping at the ball. So if the weight isn't on the front foot and it's more on the back foot, or even a little bit neutral, if your body line is still neutral through the ball, you're going to kind of be scooping up a little bit. If we see this back shoulder, my right shoulder, come down a little bit, you're exposing the lead edge. You're much more likely to scoop at the ball. You're much more likely to thin the ball, which is going to definitely go over the green, especially with a shot like the bump and run. Now, the bump and run is one of the safest chips that you can do around the green. It obviously takes practice. You need to know what club you're going to use, and you need to really have a good understanding of the landing point, because if you're used to playing mid-trajectory chips or flop shots, you're landing that ball fairly close to the hole. With a bump and run, you're not going to be landing this ball anywhere near the hole. If you have a hole, say 20 paces onto the green, you might want to land it 5 paces onto the green, so it has about 15 paces to roll out. But all of that, all of those intricacies, those lend themselves to being determined with the type of greens you're playing, the weather conditions, etc. So to summarize, we'll do a quick checklist. You want to have a less lofted club than normal. We're not doing a lob wedge here. It could be anything from a 52 down to maybe a 7-iron. That ball's going to be slightly off the back foot. You can keep a neutral stance or slightly open stance if you want. Just make sure that that club face stays neutral and that we're not having any forward shaft tilt, and it's just a nice simple stroke to pop that ball just a few yards onto the green and see it roll out the rest of the way. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a comment down below. You can always reach out to me at scratchgolftips@mail.com for emails or comments on any of the Scratch Golf Tips social media platforms. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Play well and take care.